Australia is no stranger to wealth and a strong economy. But how exactly did the land down under get so prosperous? Well, let's take a closer look at Australia's economy to pinpoint what events transpired that led to the nation's admirable financial success. At an impressive $60,445 per capita, or $1.553 trillion for the entire country, Australia sits at rank 13 in the world's GDP ranking, making it one of the most wealthy nations in the entire world. The two major contributors to the country's wealthy economy are its thriving trade relations and export industry, alongside with foreign investment that aids growth and innovation. To give you a better understanding of just how successful the Australian trade game is, in 2021, the Australian export industry brought in a remarkable $360.41 billion, making it the 20th largest globally. With major trading partnerships with China, Japan, Korea, India, the US and the EU, it comes as no surprise that the land down under is able to cash in that much money on exports. Around 67% of their exports were natural resources, while 13.7% were services, 10.7% were rural, and 6.7% were manufactured goods. It's not just the industries that are well off here. When you look at the wealth of the Australian population, you may be surprised at your findings. Australia is home to over 2.2 million millionaires, and as of 2019 to 2020, the average net worth for Australian households was around $1.04 million. In 2021, it was revealed that half of all Australians had over $400,000 in wealth. Now, while all those numbers may seem grand, what are the reasons behind Australia's impressive wealth? When you think of Australia, your mind probably defaults to golden beaches and the outback desert. However, Australia's geology is highly diverse, making it home to a large range of valuable natural resources such as minerals, natural gas, timber, and petroleum, to name a few. Currently, there are over 300 mining projects in the country, and it is one of the world's top producers of minerals. In 2019, Australia was the largest producer of copper, bauxite, and iron ore, as well as the second largest producer of gold and manganese, and third largest for zinc, cobalt, and uranium. This is all because Australia contains the second largest accessible iron ore reserve, the fifth largest reserve for coal, as well as a long list of gas resources. With such an abundant supply of high-demand natural resources, the Australian export industry expanded rapidly, leading to a commodity and trade boom in the nation starting in the mid-2000s, due to a dire need for energy generation and steel production, with prices soaring as a result. This period of time could be defined by heavy urbanization efforts and industrialization within emerging economies, and Australia knew that it could easily capitalize off of this by placing a particular emphasis towards their exporting industry. Australia became a main supplier of iron ore, natural gas, and coal, and in turn, saw their economy experience a sudden surge in growth. In 2011, the terms of trade had far exceeded the average of the previous century, sitting at 75% above its previous number. Australian mining firms were quick to realize the potential of their industry and invested significant capital into research and development in hopes of maximizing production numbers and taking advantage of these price increases. Australia's resource export industry continued to reap the benefits of the high demand from other countries until things slowed back down. In 2011, the trade boom inevitably ended and commodity prices began declining. The economy, especially the mining sector, suffered a short period of instability. However, the Australian government took action by cutting the cash rates target between 2011 and 2016 in an attempt to offset the decrease in GDP growth, employment, wages and profits that occurred post-boom. These efforts did not go unnoticed and assisted greatly in restoring more of a balance between Australian industries, allowing the non-mining economy to develop further. One sector that showed significant growth post-boom was the service industry, and was able to counteract some of the declines felt from the losses of high commodity prices. In 2016, services contributed to around 53% of the economy. Flash forward to 2019 to 2020, the service industry has become much more attractive to foreign markets, with Australia's largest service exports being education and travel services, recreational travel services, professional services, computer and information services, and financial services. Combined together, professional services and finance industries contribute over $448.3 billion in revenue to the Australian economy in 2023, with private expenditures bringing in the bulk of the money in finance, and there being increasing capital expenditures in the public sector for professional services. These two sectors are not only generating significant revenue, but also highly attractive industries for foreign investment. Australia ranks number 15 in terms of direct foreign inward investment, obtaining $770.3 billion in 2021, with some of the top investors being the United States, the UK, Belgium, Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The most attractive industries for foreign investors are mining, real estate, finance, manufacturing, and wholesale and retail. This capital allows Australia to finance efforts such as starting new industries, enhancing existing ones, and funding employment, education, and career development for the population, which would directly result in a higher skilled workforce and increased innovation. With this, Australia is able to further develop their economy internally and maintain their low unemployment rate of 3.5%. In 2022, the consumer goods retailing industry grew to a market size of $239 billion, with revenue numbers at $208 billion. There are an estimated 147,264 retail businesses, employing over 763,308 Australian workers as of 2022. Sportswear, swimwear, and surfwear in particular are highly attractive consumer goods both domestically and internationally, due to it being so closely tied to that coveted Australian lifestyle. With Australia being a bucket list destination for many travellers, the travel and tourism industry has become a large contributor to the economy, generating over $152 billion and employing over 660,000 Australians. Despite the unforeseeable circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Australian tourism industry has managed to recover relatively quickly once the international borders reopened back in early 2022. The total visitor spend for 2022 was $143 billion, which is $4.5 billion more than its value in 2019. On June 30th, 2022, it was reported that there were over 358,277 tourism businesses in active operation. Although Australia has yet to reach the same level of traffic that it had pre-lockdown, it is forecasted that the visitor economy will make a full recovery by or around 2025. Although Australia is known for its hot climate and drier terrains, there are still several large-scale agricultural production sectors that are highly valuable and profitable. Australia exports around 72% of their agricultural, forestry, and fishery production. In 2021 to 2022, these industries brought in around $76 billion, primarily due to the trade of grains, oilseeds, and livestock. Amongst the most exported are sugar, beef, mutton, veal, lamb, canola, wheat, rice, and dairy. The agriculture industry is anticipated to continue growing since over the last 5 decades, the nominal value has increased by around 5.3% per year. Vegetables in particular have had an average growth rate of 6.6%. All industries aside, the personal wealth of the average Australian still far exceeds most other countries in the world. As shown in reports, the median wealth of an Australian is 3 times that of the average American. In fact, the median wealth per adult in Australia was higher than anyone else anywhere, at around $273,900 or $390,870 Australian dollars. The wages have increased 2.6% in 2022, but the Financial Stress Index still shows that Australians have a score of 40 out of 100. If Australia is so rich, why are the people so worried about money? That's because, objectively, Australians are wealthier, but not necessarily in terms of cash. Many Australians are doing great in terms of their assets, but are struggling with making everyday purchases due to lack of liquidity. Expenses for Australians have also increased along with the wages, with petrol prices spiking by 32% in 2022, and the cash rate being 25 times higher in the 1-year span between 2021 and 2022. If you liked this video, you must watch this video to learn all about the dark secrets that are killing North Korea's once prosperous economy.